Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Unfiltered Unspoken. Today we have another wonderful testimony, life experience to share. Welcome Neicy Carla Squire. She is the CEO and founder of Envision Your Success LLC. Her ex-husband was very abusive and tried to take her life. She is a successful speaker and author of Winning in Life No Matter What. She is another number one selling author. Devastation, trauma, abuse, bullying, and rejection with skills and a mindset to set and aspire the highest level of living life on purpose despite all of her traumas. So we're going to welcome Neicy right on up. We're going to let her take the mic, take the place, take the spot. Welcome, Neicy. Thank
Yes,
you
yes.
for coming to Unfiltered Unspoken.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Queen Demetria, Queen Sid. I am so excited and happy to be a part of this. I thank you for just being obedient to the calling and to the assignment on your life. And so I'm so appreciative of you. I say namaste. And namaste is the spirit in me honors and respects the spirit in you, because I believe that each one of us has a journey and different set of experiences, and none of us really know what another person has been through. And so sometimes when you're maybe wondering like maybe why they act a certain way, you never know what they've experienced. And so I still honor you as God's beautiful creation. And I believe that each person has a purpose for their lives. And so no matter what they've been through, it's about being able to honor that and push them to their unique, significant purpose. So thank you so much for having me. So I didn't know, did you want me just to kind of get into my story, or how did you want to flow with this, Demetria?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your life experiences, and then Sid's going to come in. She's going to pitch the first question, and then we just going to go from there.
Okay then. So I am the oldest of 14 children. It's 10 of us actually living, and so I was always raised up to set this example and be a role model. That's what I remember as far as my childhood. Really, my parents have been married. Actually, right now, I'm 57. My parents are been married for 58 years. And so just remembering how it was pretty average lifestyle as far as a child. We went to a Pentecostal church, taught, that you're supposed to stay married. And so that was kind of like my whole just outlook, get married, have a family and all of that, and go to church and serve God. So that, I think that was like really kind of like ingrained into my spirit, into my psyche. And so as I went through high school, I met this young man, and you know how you fall in love, he not only looked good, but he treated me like a queen. And so I just knew that this was a match made in heaven. And so me and this young man, we end up tying the knot. We ended up getting hitched, and I just knew like he was my soulmate. Upon getting married, I didn't realize that something wasn't something. How sometimes you don't really know until something actually happens, because there was no signs of anything about him. I just know that we got along really good. We talked about the Bible, and we were on this mission to serve God and run a youth program, and just be involved in the church, and being involved in being a service to God. And so as time went on, I remember one Sunday, I got into the car, and I was waiting for my husband to come out, and this was a while back. And so he ended up coming out of the house, and he ended up locking his key inside of the house, and he became very flustered. And he came over to my side of the car, and me not knowing, what was about to take place. He's like, well, I need you to crawl through the window in the backyard, and I need you to go and try to get my key. And I said, well, I'm not going to be able to, step up. The window was up really high in the backyard. And I said, I'm not going to be able to do that. And before I knew it, I was being yanked out of the car, threw up against the car window, and I was choked. And he must have thought that someone was watching him, because then he dragged me to the side of the house, and he began to choke me again. And sadly to say, that was kind of like the beginning of my abuse starting from in my life, and me feeling like, okay, when I took this to my pastor, when I took this to some people that I looked up to, my elders, I was told to just merely pray about it, and that God was going to bless my marriage. And that was a journey for me, and not understanding how to navigate through this. And I stayed in that for a while, and I had my 5 children. And a lot of times people don't understand the significance of the psychological aspect. So when someone says, oh, you could have just left, you're stupid, why didn't you just leave? And but they didn't understand how I had been brought up in this church that taught me, you stay married. I had watched my parents and say, we don't believe in divorce. God hates divorce. My parents have been married for 58 years. So my whole psyche was around, like, I have to make this work. And then me not knowing how I was going to survive. So finally, I ended up some kind of way, I'm not sure how everything happened, but as a young mother with 5 children, I ended up trying to find a way out of this. And I moved me and my 5 children into a battered women's shelter. And my kids at that time, they were 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We moved into this battered women's shelter, and that place was such a godsend for us. They took us in. They made sure we had everything. We lived in a small bedroom with a 2 bunk beds and a small little sink. And there was a community area for the other children and the mothers, for all of us to bathe and shower. I remember there was a dining hall that we would all get together for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. My kids love snacks to this day because they fed them snacks. They did all kind of activities. I had a social worker. I had a individual counselor, and then we had support groups. So all of that being said, they were there for us. They were there for us with open arms and just helping me through this. Just all kind of things have been taking place even when I was there. So at the end of the day, because I went through all of that, I went on and I became a crisis therapist. Then I had this vision in my heart that I wanted to be able to speak, because when I was like 12 years old, like, they had me speaking before the church. And so a few years back, I just had this desire. I want to take what I went through, and I want to be able to speak to masses of people and help them. I already have been helping people through my journey as a social worker, crisis therapist, and all of that, but I wanted to take it to another level. A few years ago, I know God downloaded this in my heart, and I had another situation that had taken place where I hit rock bottom, and I didn't think I would ever be the same again. And it was at the lowest moment of my life that I know that God downloaded this vision within me and said, envision your success. It is a housing empowerment program for single women with children. So I've been on that journey after everything that I've been through, not only the domestic violence, not only the rejection, not only the abuse and abandonment and just various different things that I've like been able to push through as a warrior. I heard you say warrior earlier, but as a warrior, being able to have the ability to push through insurmountable odds when it seems like all hell is against you, when it seems like the odds are against you, when it seems as though that you're not going to be able to survive. It's like some kind of way you have this determination and this resiliency to push through. And so through all of that, I've been on this journey. And that's why I feel you when you talk about, I'm just passionate about this, because when you've been through something, to him whom much is given, much is required. And so you're going to be pulled on in different kind of ways, but your skin is being built up to be able to keep on pushing through even when you're being attacked. So my main thing today is to be able to inspire hope in other people, to be a voice for people that don't have a voice. And so I know that's why God gave me Envision Your Success housing for women, single women with children that are going through a dark season of their lives. We are here as a conduit of hope, a point of light, a lifeline, helping them to change the trajectory of their lives so that they may live to their fullest God-given potential.
I love that. Excuse me. I love that. Now, one thing that kind of stood out to me, you said going back to, the buildup of your relationship or your marriage. Mm-hmm. You said that, you didn't see any signs,
no.
Leading up to it. Looking at
3 years of us dating. 3 years of us dating. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Looking at things in retrospect, do you think that there's, things that you might have taken for a bigger face value at that time, knowing what you know now?
I don't know. I was quite young at that time. You don't like really have experience in that era, and that era when you're young. And I really can't think of anything. I mean, I say there was one time where he kind of like raised his voice at me during our 3 years of of dating. I mean, I was 16, so it's like we dated from 16 until I graduated. Then after I graduated, we got married. So no, it was really a shock to me because, like I said, I really thought that he just was this nice man, and it was supposed to be a man or a Christian or man of God. And so I never saw it coming. And so I just, and there was a lot of times still that I kind of I felt like I was like stupid. Like I was just like, why did I take that? When I look back in hindsight, I'm like, why did I stay there and keep going through what I went through? But for everything, I believe that, it's a teaching for you. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think you probably felt as though, my parents stayed together. This is what I'm supposed to do. So
I sure did.
Normalize. And that's why I had, did you, growing up, did you see any, I guess, confusion with your parents that would make you stay with your ex-husband?
Yeah, I mean, early on, because like I said, I'm the oldest of 14. It's 10 of us living. But early on, my mom and dad had their, regular issues like most marriages have, but it was never like domestic violence. So I'd never seen like the domestic violence. I never even knew about, battered women's shelter. I had never heard about anything like that. But once he did start, beating on me and doing different things, I knew it wasn't right. But like I said, I was always taught to reverence your elders and talk to them about, gain wisdom from the people that are supposed to be elderly or older and that have been in it longer than me. And so that's what I did. I took it to them, and that was the advice that they gave me, to pray about it. God is going to bless you. And basically just told him, don't you do that again. That's what my pastor had told him. Don't do that again. And so that was pretty much it. And then I felt like I never was really protected, because even when I felt like my dad him stepping up, it was just like it's about pray about it. And so I'm not, I love my parents, and I always say this because I don't want to, feel like, okay, why would your parents do that? But I just felt like someone should have like stepped up and something, but it didn't go like that. But like I said, even though I went through that and I wasn't protected, I felt like it was something that I was supposed to still learn in that, so I could be able to help other people. So I'm still standing. So, at the end of the day, I'm still alive. I'm still standing. So, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Now, I don't want to put this. Now that you've kind of, built a platform for yourself, a name for yourself, there is tangible evidence that, the things that you have learned or the path that you should have taken, that it's, proof that that's how things should be, that, these types of things should not happen this way. And when you speak about your parents, you speak about them in present tense. So I assume that they're still living, but
Yes.
What do they make of everything? Has any of your teachings and your learnings changed their outlook on, any of these situations, or, are they just kind of old dogs, no new tricks?
Pretty much. That's cute the way you put it like that. Pretty much, they're really, I call it really, into their Christianity, their religion, and so they, to me, I deal with them on their level, and so sometimes you'll never be able to get people to understand like where you're coming from or your point of view, because that's just, that's where they're at. That's what they believe. I respect them for that, but I respect my own self. And so I know how to stand up in the way that I need to stand up for myself, and then be a voice to other people that's coming along, that have went through the similar things as myself. But no, there were, and I'm not even going to name any names, but there were just even family members that would say different things like, oh, well, if you were, going to church more often, maybe God wouldn't have allowed this to happen to you. Or if you would have did this, it was like I had to be up to a certain standard, and maybe everything would have went differently. Or they would say, oh, you're not going to be able to survive without a husband or a man with your 5 children, so you might as well just stay there. And so it was just different things like that, things that were said or spoken like that throughout the years. And so I just learned how to just build up that confidence within myself, and it didn't matter what other people thought about it. Their opinion didn't matter. What matters is what I believed in, what I needed to do and wanted for my life, and to be used in a way I feel like I'm meant to be used because of my journey, because of what I went through in my life. And so, but no.
Yeah, it almost sounds like some folks have tolerated and dealt with abuse, and they've accepted it without talking about it, because we know back in the day, a man to beat a woman, she don't say nothing, they don't talk about it, they don't do anything. So just the fact that someone says, oh, this man is whooping my ass, and I'm supposed to accept it because I have 5 kids, like, you should open your door and let me in your house. It's that piece of it. So I was going to come back and say, do you feel as though the church failed you, some of your family members failed you through what you went through, like the support system that it wasn't there?
Oh wow, you that's a really good thing to focus on, and that's pretty deep. I probably won't even be able to get into all of that really, really deep, but I'll touch on it. So I feel like, yes, I end up where, I was raised up in the church. The church was pretty much my whole life. I was in the church. So when all of that stuff happened and I didn't have the support of the church, I didn't have the support of my family, I just turned as far as like not even wanting to be involved. Not to say that I didn't go to church, but I went to a totally different church. I guess it's just going to always be in me to like still, worship. But at that point in my life, I would just go, just to go to church. I maybe out of tradition or whatever. But as far as like having that relationship, I didn't care anymore. And so then there was a period of my life, like I never, went out to like nightclubs and stuff. And so I had my period where I was just kind of like out there, because it's like I just felt like so let down. Like I served God and I tried to do the right thing, and I was honorable to my husband, and I felt like I did, the right things. And so like, why was all of this craziness happening to me? And then since it happened to me, why didn't I get the support? Or why was I just kind of like just shut down, as if like it didn't matter about my life? And so, that really made me feel like, God let me down, the church let me down, my family let me down. And so that's when I believe I start coming into just that whole mentality of like, I got to protect my own self. I got to be here for me. Nobody else is going to be here for me. So I have to be here for myself. And so, I did go through that period where I didn't care. And I just, just wasn't connected with Christ or God like the way I had been before. Just kind of was doing my own thing, because I just couldn't understand all of the things that was happening in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely understand.
Yeah.
Now with having 14, being one of 14 siblings, in my mind, I feel like, there was enough of you in the home to almost, if we could conduct a sociology experiment there, we probably could have been, it probably would have been successful just in your household alone, just off strength of numbers. So, with that being said, were you the only one that found yourself in, this type of a sticky situation in life? Or, did any of your siblings go through anything with the outcome of, you guys' upbringing and, how you were taught to deal with things?
I believe I was the only one that have went through that kind of level of, as far as abuse and being almost killed. There was a time that even when I was trying to get away, I think it became even worse, because that was the time that he went to get a gun to blow my brains out. And so I felt like I was the only one that like experienced the level of trauma that I experienced. I will say this, that a lot of my siblings are pretty much, my brother is like 5 years younger than me, and then my other siblings, mostly sisters, and I have another brother, they're kind of like maybe around like 15 years younger than me. So, but no, they, not to my knowledge, no one has like experienced the level of trauma. And I've been in and out. I started going to like therapy. I would just try to like heal through different things. I would try to talk to people through different things. I would try to get an understanding of like, why did this happen to me? Is it something that I'm attracting to me? Because it was just like, why did this happen? Or why, does this continue to happen? So, yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned that you were bullied in chatting. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? And did that play a part with you staying with your ex-husband because you were used to being bullied?
Well, I wouldn't say per se. Say bullying or being bullied. I mean, I feel like I experienced a lot of rejection or different things like that. Another part that has played a part in me staying. I felt like I didn't believe in myself, and I didn't have like this level of confidence in myself. So when someone came along and they gave me this attention, or they seemed like they loved me, or they seemed like they cared about me, I think that was another piece of that made me feel like, okay, I don't want to just give up on this, because he's the one that loved me. He was the one that acted like he cared. And so just part of me was like, okay, maybe, he will like be a different person. And so I feel like also that my level of validation at that time in my life was drawn on the fact that he cared, that in the beginning, he cared about me, or he showed me that he cared about me. So I think a lot of that had a big play in it, as far as just getting my validation from a man. And so when I work with women, and I work with like youth, it's really being about like pushing them to have that confidence level within themselves, that they don't need validation from anything outside of them. A lot of times we look for validation from other people. We look for validation from just different things that we look to happen for our lives. But when you can validate your own self, when you can know, I've been called, I've been chosen, there's a purpose on my life, there's an assignment on my life. God validated me before I entered into my mom's womb. I was already validated. I was already worthy. I was already valued. I was already preordained. And so everything that's happened, I always say this, that I live in the faith that the whole world is on my side, as long as I'm being true to the best that's in me. And so I've been validated, I've been called, I've been chosen. And so I don't look for validation from men or anyone now. But when I was younger, that I feel like that was a big part of it, just like wanting that validation, or feeling like you was worthy because somebody said they cared about you, or somebody, said that they loved you. You felt like, oh, this feels so good. I really want that. And there's nothing wrong with it. But at the end of the day, if that person starts to be a different kind of person, or if that person leaves you, where's your validation at that point? And so you got to get your validation from within, so that right there really hit home with me, as I have gotten more wiser and have, come to a level of just more knowledge about who I am, in my purpose. So
have you had any conversations with your children about what they remember, if they do, remember any vivid details of being in the home with your ex-husband?
Yes, they were younger. Like I said, when we left, they were 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And so it wasn't like they saw, a lot. But a lot of times they were either in their rooms or sleep or something. But they know the different things that did happen, and they've seen how their dad would do. And so we've had talks. They try to have a relationship with their dad. Some of them have a pretty good relationship with their dad. Myself, since my kids are grown now, we're cordial with each other. Matter of fact, he married somebody with the same name as me. So, but I think, and I probably won't touch on it too much, but I think sometimes if you stay in that kind of environment, it can rub off on where your daughters, especially, and there's a study on this also, where your daughters end up accepting abuse. Your son end up becoming an abuser, and because of that spirit, or that environment, and they feel like this is what they adapt to because of if you stay. And so I knew I needed to do something different for me and my kids. And there was even one instance that I can't even remember, was it the police officer or whatever. In one of the instances when I was trying to get my kids, and it was told to me, like, you have to be the one to make sure your kids are staying safe. So you can't allow this person to keep coming back in and expect for your kids to be okay. Something to that effect. And so I knew it was a thing that was like affecting my children. And so, yeah, but now, I mean, they're, some of them have, I think, I would say with at least two of my daughters, they have been in situations where they were abused also. But they, they've rectified that. So, yeah.
That's great. And I'm glad that they had you there to, there's nothing better than experience. So, hopefully it didn't take much, that nothing too hefty happened in those times, but I'm glad they had you to get there with that, bit of experience to help them through that, for sure. And I do also just want to touch on, what you just said, because I am seeing a lot of cases where, the women are facing the legal ramifications of being the victim, and your kids becoming collateral damage. Women are going to jail because of situations that they have, not going to say they don't have control over, but where they are the victim in, and getting locked up because their children are being harmed in the process. So not being able to pick yourself up and move forward is not not only just a threat on your life, but a threat on your kids and what's to come in your future. If you don't have a chance to ever get out, then you don't have a chance to ever get out. You got to be alive and well to do it. So,
right.
Just try to pick that up, if not for yourself, for your kids.
Right. That's so true. I'm glad that you delved into that a little bit deeper, because that was kind of like where it was coming down to. They're like, your children are being, affected or being abused. Not that they were actually being like physically abused by my ex, and when they were younger. But it was something where it was like endangering their lives, because know how far I want to get deep into that situation, but it was a time where they were kind of like taken, and so I was told that if I don't make sure that I keep them safe, then it would be like some legal things that could happen to me. And so it was about me, making sure that I was doing what I needed to do to get away from this situation. That's really what it came down to. And so, I definitely am aware of that. If the female doesn't make some hard choices and some hard decisions, it could make her face some things too. So then the kids, pretty much out there. So is that kind of like where you were trying to go with it?
Absolutely. Okay. I heard you touch on that, so I just wanted to shine light on that part because that was important.
Yes, and I mean, it's definitely easier said than done when you're trying to get out of those kind of situations, because people don't realize that it's a psychological thing that takes place. It could be like financial dependence. It could be like emotional. Even though that person has done you wrong, there has been a lot of times where they done you right. There's been a lot of times where you knew that y'all were both in love with each other. And so then for that female or whoever to have to just like say, no, I'm not going to stay in this anymore. And I don't know how I'm going to survive. I don't like, if she doesn't have a lot of finances, if she is emotionally dependent on him, if or she's been raised up in a church such as myself, where she believes that this is so wrong, and in the face of God hates divorce. So all kind of psychological things that the outside person doesn't realize or doesn't understand, because they've never walked in their shoes or in her shoes. They haven't walked in their shoes, and so they don't know all the psychological things that are going on with her. they would, from the outside looking in, they're saying, well, you're stupid, because why would you stay with someone that has abused you or something? And so, but they don't understand. So that's when I have worked with women that have been through that. For me, it's about meeting them where they are, trying to help them have a safety plan, because that's what I was given when I was with the Battered Women's Shelter. And even like there's an Artemis house where they work with you and teach you how to have a plan. There's a special number, or you can call to talk, hotline number to talk, and they'll ask you, are you safe? And so just being able to meet the women where they are, and to support them and encourage them, because some women leave at the first time they're abused. Some women, it takes maybe 7 times for them to go through it, and finally it clicks like, okay, this is crazy. I'm not staying in this. And then, sad to say, some women stay and get killed. And so you just have to, you just have to meet them where they are, support them in every way that you can, educate them. I think the big thing is educating them. When a man, sometimes women might say, oh, well, he pushed me, but I saw that between my mom and dad. That ain't nothing. Or he just did it one time. So, I love him. He loves me. He told me he was sorry. And that's the beginning of it. And when a man does it one time, it just really opens up the door for it to be a domino effect. It gets worse over the years. And like I said, with me, when you do try to get out, it seems like they really try to kill you. Because my ex told me, he said, if I can't have you, no one will have you. And that meant that, I'm going to be dead. That was that part. And so, yes, it's a real deep thing. And I believe that's why we've been called and chosen to make a difference in the lives of these other people that are coming up. And that's what I want to be a voice for, to be a light, an example of how when you choose to walk in purpose, when you choose to allow whatever situation that has happened to you, when you choose to allow that to push you to something deeper for your life and see vision for your life, and build up this confidence and this love for yourself, and say, like, God didn't put me on this earth to be abused, to be kicked, to be choked, to be emotionally, verbally abused. Like, even that's a big abuse tactic. If someone verbally is like degrading you and making you feel humiliated, that's a whole nother thing within itself. Some people say, well, that's not abuse. Well, you keep on hearing those words and that degrading all the time, you're not going to have any confidence to be able to live the life that you're meant to live, because you're going to feel so little and so inferior. And so I'm big on, like, no, baby, you're not gonna tear me down now. I love myself. I love myself. There's nothing wrong with loving yourself, because when you love yourself, you honor yourself, then you can walk in the path with confidence of what you're meant to do. And so, yeah, I think that's really important, that you do love yourself and stand up for yourself. So.
Yeah. And they call that a crime of passion. If they can't have you, no one else can have you. That's exactly what it's called.
Yes.
So we're going to take, Neicy actually shared with me one of her commercials, in her advertisement. So we're going to actually run it as a commercial. So we're going to take a second and we're going to run your advertisement. So folks can see some of your movement and
cool.
how to get in contact with you in the video as well.
Cool. Yes.
Envision your success. Envision means to visualize, picture, see it before it actually happens. Success speaker and author Neicy Carla Squire empowers and equips our youth to next level success, transforming their mindsets to unstoppable results. Book Neicy today. The value she adds will be astronomical.
You're so full
Thank
of energy.
you.
My pleasure. Absolutely. I told you I got you. I was trying to get it. I got it. I was like, I got to figure this out. And I finally
I
figured it
appreciate
out.
you so much. That's beautiful.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I just wanted to, when your kids were almost taken, I know that made you want to completely change your life because it's an emptiness that we feel, especially like when we're so connected with our kids. Like, because I tell folks, they say if it's one thing a person wants to do, that's why men go after the kids first, because they know that a mother will always hold their child is the closest thing, and that is the most hurt we will carry for the rest of our lives.
Oh, yes. That, and I'm sorry, what was the question? Did you ask me a question about, or you just wanted me to kind of like touch on that?
Yeah, so I was asking how did it make you feel that your kids were almost taken, and did it make you want to completely change your life?
Oh yes, yeah. My kids are my heart, and so, and like you were just saying, yeah, they know that we bore our kids, our kids, came through us. And so that's close to you. And so they can use that. They'll use those things that's closest to you to try to, get you to stay or get you to come back or whatever. And so, but I knew that I needed to do it, not just for myself, but for my kids. I knew that I needed to make some changes, and I had to just let go of that what is that dream of like, oh, it's supposed to be a husband and a wife together and our kids, and it wasn't going to happen like that. So I needed to like step up to the plate. And I had a good friend of mine, I'll never forget what she said. She said, she called me Carla at that time. She said, Carla, you have to think with your head and not with your heart, not with your emotions. A lot of times we I just want the family, and because he would say that, he's like, don't you want to keep our family together, and don't you want the kids to have their dad, and so that was the emotional part, having that family. Mom and dad been married for years, I want to be married, so. But when it all was said and done, I knew that I had to do this for myself and for my kids. I had to keep my kids safe. I had to get them in an environment that was healthy, because there is no way that, staying in an abusive marriage or relationship is healthy for the kids. It brings a lot of just trauma for them. A lot of kids have had different behavioral issues. When you see kids acting out at school, sometimes a lot of times it can be from that they see so much abuse, or they see so much going on in that family aspect. And so just being able to do it for your kids, when you're meant to have the right person that's going to truly love you, I believe that time will come. But at that point, when you're in abuse, you have to step out and do this for your children. Get them in help and therapy or whatever they need to be able to just to get back onto that healthy, place, and have an understanding of what took place, and how they can do better and live a healthier life for themselves also. So, yes.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Now, was there anything that you learned in the process, or knew about your ex-husband that might have went on in his life that contributed to who he was as a person?
Oh, wow, good question. Yes, I definitely found out that his parents, they fought all the time, and Yeah, but I don't, both of them have passed, but, it was a whole lot of different issues and with them. And so and part of me kind of like, when I found out about those things, after I found out about those things, I kind of wanted to kind of like try to have an understanding. But, when you're going through abuse, you shouldn't try to stay in it because, you feel bad for what they had went through in their lives. You just got to get yourself to safety. But I did find out, different things, his mom, when his mom and her husband would get into an argument, if he didn't side with them, at one point she had held a gun up, like pointed a gun to him, like, you better side with me. And so just things like that I found out about. And so I understood that that's where that kind of that whole abuse thing came from, or that temper came from. But it still wasn't an excuse for me to stay there. So that's another thing. When you learn about different things about maybe what your partner has went through, you can't stay there and try to fix it. Because a lot of times you might say, "Oh, I can fix you, or I can make you better, or I can love you back to doing the right thing." But yeah, you might end up getting killed trying to do that. So, because there was a number of times that I gave him chance after chance. There were times that he would get on his knees and beg me and cry. And I believed that he wanted to do the right thing, and I would accept him back, only to my detriment. And so I know, I was at peace in knowing that, like, I tried to make it work. I gave it everything that I could. And almost lost my life in the process of trying to like make it work. So yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like a lot of times we do it for the kids. That's a bigger piece. We do it because of that title of being married. I'm married.
Yes, exactly.
I've gotten to a point now. Marriage doesn't mean a title. Happiness does. So we can date.
Say that, sis.
So it's
say that.
Look, that part.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Marriage is just a title. More people go through more issues in marriage than you just being in a committed relationship.
Right.
Yeah. So I want. Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to know if you can give the audience advice on from your personal life experience, from what you went through. What to do when they see how they can recognize red flags, and how maybe they can make a choice to leave or exit, or what they can do.
Mm-hmm. One of the biggest red flags is someone that tries to rush you in the beginning, because that's where it starts. They're very manipulative. I think abusers are very manipulative. So they put on a facade of charming. They love you. They want to, and the ones that want to move really fast, they want to get you emotionally really fast. I believe that that's the beginning of it. That's more subtle, because you're feeling like, oh, they really love me. They really want to be with me. They really, enjoy my company. And that's what I love, because I felt like, nobody really wanted to be in my company. So when he came along and he acted like he just loved him some Carla or Neicy, or he gave me so much attention, that drawed me. And so that's their way of pulling you in, and you're not even like recognizing that. You're not privy to that, but they already have a plan in their mind of like, I believe, or, so being able to see that part. And then as time goes on, if you see, what word am I trying to say? If you begin to see a controlling things going on, where someone is just trying to, whether control you got to wear certain things, or you got to be home at a certain time, just the different areas of someone controlling you, like someone, you got to make sure you do this or that. Tell me who you went with, or who was you on the phone with, just those kind of like those things. And that to me also is a big red flag. Someone just pushes you just a little bit, their temper goes off, and they put their hands on you, and it may not seem a whole lot if it's just like a slight shove, but even something like that, I think you got to pay close attention to that. And like, that's not good. Don't let it go. Don't let that go. And so then if you feel like that's beginning to take place, don't keep stuff to yourself. Begin to talk to someone who is like, has some level of experience, or someone that you can confide in, or even, a counselor if you don't have anyone that you feel like you can actually confide in or that would understand. But don't just keep it in. I really believe in just like telling someone so they can kind of give you some guidance. Because I feel like if you keep things in and don't say anything, or you ashamed, because a lot of thing was being ashamed, like, how did I get into this situation? So I'm not going to tell anyone about this, so no, you have to begin to like open up and ask someone like, what should I do? This happened. Now, what should I do? Should I stay? And I feel like if they have a level of wisdom, they'll be able to guide you through. So yeah, definitely speaking up and saying something. But when you start seeing the red flags, someone's trying to get you into a relationship really fast, someone's trying to get your emotions caught up really fast, red flag. Someone's trying to control you, definitely red flag. And you better run, Forrest, run. Because I don't think it's going to be a good outcome. I really don't. My experience tells me it's not a good outcome. I don't care. They can be a charmer. They can be good looking. They can be talking the Bible. They can just have all of the right things and give you all this attention and you feel good. But there is a reason behind that. And you have to be discerning enough to see that and step back. So I think so many times we might be desperate to just have a relationship, or like you said, Demetria, like, I want to be married, like marriage, I guess since I've been married a few times, that it's not like just, it's not all of that when it comes down to like the bigger picture. And so just being able to like step back and not move too fast. I always tell people, vet that person out. Don't just take them just because they're giving you all this attention. Don't just take them at their word just because, they're saying, sweet words. How we like to have those sweet words whispered in our ear. Like, no, I need to step back and I need to be wise about my movements. I don't need to act on emotions, because a lot of times for me, that's what it was about. I'm acting out of emotions. Oh, I feel so good. He make me feel so good. Oh, he loves me. Oh, he wants me. But you have to be patient enough to look at the bigger picture. Watch him. How does he move in certain situations? When things are not going his way, how is he responding? How does he respect other people? And so different things like that, when you sit back and you be patient and you don't allow yourself to move real fast, you don't allow yourself to get all intimate and caught up all fast, and then you get all emotionally discombobulated and you have no clue of what's really going on. You have no clue, you begin to have blinders on. And so you have to be patient. You have to vet that person out. You have to give that person a chance to prove who they really are. I don't care about your words. You can say some words to me. That's fine. Your words matter. But at the end of the day, your actions is going to tell me everything that I need to know. And so you allow that and discipline yourself enough that you're not trying to just get caught up really fast and get to know that person and have some people with wisdom that can kind of also discern past your discernment. And I think that will really be able to help you. But my number one thing is don't stay. If someone puts their hand on you one time, don't stay. It's been too many people and women especially that have been killed because they just let stuff go and they think it's going to work, and it ends up happening where a lot of times women have been killed, and people that don't, understand it, they may not really believe everything goes the way it goes, but it's been so many times that women have been killed just because they love somebody, and it's a very sad thing, very sad thing.
Yes, that is a very good message to land here. Definitely one to keep in mind. And you kind of hinted to my next kind of question here. But after that marriage, did you still struggle in relationships? And what I guess continued to be the problem, or what did the problem evolve into, as far as what you were lacking in your knowledge and discernment and things like that?
Yeah, I think I still struggled because I was still young. I believe probably after that marriage ended, probably like 8 years later, I ended up in another marriage. And I mean, it wasn't physically abusive, but, he cheated on me. And so I was like, dang, why do I keep on? And so I needed to take a step back. And for a little while, I did take a step back and try to just work on myself. But I'm sorry, what was the other part of that question? What was the other part of the question?
You were answering it. Just, okay. What did you still continue to have issues moving on, in relationships after that? And what kind of problems did you still feel like you had, with choosing partners that got you, that kept you in that circle of issues?
Yeah. I'm trying to, because I would, like I was telling you, I would talk to my therapist and try to, do something different. The last marriage that I was in, I felt like I was working with my support group, and this is the support group that's called Artemis House. And so, we would get together on a weekly basis and just be there for each other and talk through different things. And so I felt like it was a good place for me to be in, a good support system. But me and my still operating in a place of emotions. That's why I feel like right now, I've been working really hard on myself to not operate in emotions. I need to be able to vet a person out before I move forward. So when I end up getting into a relationship this last time, and I was in this support group, I was really warned. I'll say warned, because they were saying, how long, are you giving yourself enough time? And I was like, no, going back to the church, I prayed about it, and I believe we're really meant to be together. And I really, really thought this last marriage was really this was good, because we had so much in common, and we had a lot of fun hanging out, and it just ended up still. And so right now I've been just putting a lot of time into just walking in purpose. Sometimes when you want something really badly, you want to be married, you want to be in a relationship, but God is calling you to something different for your life. Not to say that I won't get married again. I'm not sure. I won't be in a relationship again. I'm not sure. But I'm okay with just being happy within myself. I'm okay with loving myself. I'm okay with just walking in purpose, because right now I stay so busy with bringing about the Envision Your Success housing for single women with children. I stay so busy with my speaking platform. I stay so busy in my real estate investments. And so I feel like there's a whole nother world besides a marriage or relationship. Sometimes we can get so focused on getting one thing that you don't see that God has so many things in store for you. Some people accept a shack when God got a mansion for you. So don't just accept whatever. You know, don't just be caught up in like, oh, I gotta have this because I see mom and daddy, they've been married, or I gotta have this because I see, you know, my siblings, they got a husband or they got a wife or whatever. Sometimes your path is different. And so when you can begin to come into that realization and accept that there's something greater for me, there's something so much greater there's something so much bigger for me than just a marriage. You know, God's got a blessing with your name all on it. But sometimes you can't see, you can't see it because you're so caught up in, oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to have this. And so he's calling you to something so much bigger. And so I see, envision actually means to picture something, imagine it, see it, talk on it before you actually bring it to reality. And so there's this vision for each one of our lives. But sometimes we have to go through the muck and the mire. We have to learn the different things. I had to learn not to operate in emotions on that level, but to operate in wisdom, operate in digging a little bit deeper in a situation. And so now I feel like I've been learning a lot. I'm not saying I'm all the way there. I feel like as long as you're alive, there's something that you can learn. But I feel like I try to operate in a level of wisdom. And so I'm able to exhort and encourage like other women, younger women or other women on how, just encouragement for their life, to see purpose in their life, to see, God has so much better for you. So don't accept the shack when there's a mansion waiting. Don't just accept anything. Don't just accept less than the best when the best is still waiting for you. So that's how I look at that.
I love it. I love it. Like you hitting it on the nail. Like, yes, because I tell folks all the time, like, and before we came on, I was telling you our situation was a lot of it is so much similar of a lot of things that we went through. And a lot of times we get so deep into the relationship that we take on their mental issues and they become our issues. So their issues, like we're drowning in their problems and it's not our problems. And we get to a place where we become confused. We don't even know who we are because we've taken on so much.
Right.
And then it's like on their side, our significant others are telling so many lies on us. People are believing the lies that they're telling. So
that's another thing. Yeah,
we're getting a double abuse, right? So it's like you're getting abused by them, and then you're getting abused by the people that they know, and the people that they know that they have issues. Like they know they have issues, and and that's where we come out with life experiences like yours and books like yours, where we're telling our side of the life experiences that wasn't heard, that people chose to ignore and to take up for the abuser. So
manipulation, because they know how to put on that manipulation. They seem so nice to everybody else, but you're the one that's being abused, and so what's going on. But other people, they're like, oh, you're why are you making that up? Or I've even had people tell me that I'm lying. I'm like, so I had a black eye, I had to go to the hospital, I had a concussion, and I just made all this up. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and I tell folks all the time, like, I literally had a neighbor, and he was a male that kept telling me, you don't deserve you, leave. He kept telling me to leave. He knew and seen a lot of what was going on. Even though I was quiet, he seen it, like he was the neighbor. But, we have to practice what we preach, and the fact of it is abusers manipulate, and the friends and families of the abusers create more abuse.
Yep, sad to say, and so but sometimes when it just seems so unfair, like I was saying, you come into that there's still a purpose in all of that, and me not getting the support of him being able to manipulate his family against me and make and cause my family to like not believe in me, but felt like he was this nice guy, but still in all of that, there's purpose. There's still purpose wrapped up in all of your pain. And at the end of the day, we can definitely shed light on abuse and talk about abuse. But for me, it's about like, how are we going to get purpose out of this? I don't want a person just to be in a survival mode. I don't want you just to survive through it. We can all say, oh, I survived that. I survived. I went through that and I survived. But I want you to not only survive, but I want you to thrive. I want you to really be able to see the significance and the value that's on your life. Nobody can take away your value. No one can take away your purpose. Nobody can take away your destiny. You've been called and you've been chosen for such a time as this. And so everything that you've been through, you're going to use it to escalate you, to catapult you into the direction and purpose for your life. And so that's what it comes down to is your purpose. Your purpose, your value cannot be taken away just because you went through trauma. So don't just survive through it, but thrive through it. Thrive through it. And that comes down to, I don't even care about what nobody else thinks about me. Because see, I used to be really caught up into like, oh, they're not gonna like me. Mm-hmm. Oh, they don't include me. Or they're gonna say I'm stupid, or they're gonna call me, like why are you doing that? But you have to be able to step out and just believe that God has your back. Believe that what you had to say is significant. What you're doing, Demetria and Sid, this is something that nobody can do it the way that you guys are doing it, because you've been called and you've been chosen to do it. Like maybe other people have a podcast, but no one is going to be able to do it the way that you're moving, because God has placed something in your spirit and in your heart. And I'm so glad that you have been obedient to what's in your heart and not worried about what nobody else thinks. You're not going to be able to touch everybody. Everybody's not going to be able to agree with you. But see, I'm here to touch the lives of the people that I'm meant to touch.
Amen.
You may not be able to some of your family members may not be able to ever understand what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing. But
they understand it. They understand it. They understand that they're just trapped. They're just trapped in behaviors that they think is normalized behaviors to be hurt. But when they realize that facing your hurt and traumas and accepting them, confronting them, and coping them will set you free. See, they're still trapped. Yeah. We're no longer trapped in our hurt, which makes it different, right? So,
right. You're no longer trapped. I love the way you put that. You're no longer trapped in it.
Yeah.
You're free. And that's a wonderful thing, to walk in freedom. It's a wonderful thing to know your truth and speak your truth and not care about what no one else thinks of it, because this wasn't given to you, it was given to me. You may have never have went through the things that I've been through. That's why you're whatever, but this is what I've been given to do. And so I can walk boldly in that. And then you never know the magnitude of the lives that you are going to touch and save their lives. Some people you may say something, or you may bring someone that's going to save somebody's life, and that means that's a lot of value to that.
Yep. And that's what I tell people. I tried to fit in for so long, and because I wanted to be loved, and my vulnerability was love, and I think a lot of people preyed on my love and willingness. But now I'm at a place now that I don't want to fit in. So I don't want to fit in with others. I want to be myself. I want to be free. So it makes it totally different. I don't want to be a friend just to entertain, and you're around me because of my entertaining. I can entertain myself, and that's what I've been doing. I entertain myself. And it's blessings like Sid that has come into my life. Sid is a strong Black female. I love her as a
Yes,
person. She's
that's what you need to
phenomenal.
surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So she's definitely been God's blessing, a
Mm-hmm.
angel, and it's such an honor, for me to be a part of her life. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful that she's accepted me and,
Mm-hmm.
truly for who I am. And I don't have to put on this facade anymore. I can
Mm-hmm.
be myself. I
Just
can
be
be
you.
free. I
That's
can
the way it's
say,
supposed to
I
be.
can do, and that is the unity that God is putting us around us. Look at it. Look at you. You're
Mm-hmm.
here, and
Mm-hmm.
you're another piece of that strength and that
Mm-hmm.
puzzle, because we're going to build this big puzzle, and we're never
Mm-hmm.
going to have all the pieces to the puzzle, because every time we deliver a message or a life experience, that's just going to be another piece added to the puzzle.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
this
That's
is
what it's
definitely a
about.
blessing.
That is what it's about. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Honoring.
Yes. So we'd like to take this time for you to shameless plug yourself, how the folks can get in touch with you, what you have going on, what you got for sale, upcoming engagements, anything here that you want the viewers to know and how they can reach out.
All right. Well, I want you to know that me honoring the path for my life um, is going to play a significant part in the people uh, that I'm meant to impact. So if you have something that you want to call me to be a part of an event, whether it's a domestic violence engagement, or whether it's just you want me to come and inspire hope, because I feel like words are empowering, and I know the words that I speak are empowering, that will ignite something in someone's spirit, someone that may feel like they're lost, or someone may feel like that they can't achieve goals in their life, or someone that may just feel like they're down at the bottom of the barrel, or they may have this outer facade of saying that they're good, but within them they don't honor themselves, or they're not they don't feel worthy. And so I'm available to be booked to speak. I'm available to come and work with you. Neicy helps is my neicyhelps@gmail.com is one of the ways that you can reach me. Another way that you can reach me is I'm on Instagram. I think I'm going across there, Instagram.com, Carla Wilson Squire. You can also reach me on my phone number. I give this out, 937-829-1803. Never give up on your dreams. It takes a warrior to be able to push through insurmountable odds when it seems like everything is against you, or when you have a lot of attacks. But just know this: what's meant for you, it is for you. You have a dream in your heart. Don't allow anything to stop you from the purpose that God has put on your life. Whatever trauma, devastation, letdown, unfairness that you face in life, know this: that your worth is greater than anything that you have been through. Thank y'all so much for having me, Queens. I appreciate y'all.
Of course, absolutely. And we're just going to close it out. Thank you for tuning into Unfiltered Unspoken, where we are sharing life experiences to help as many folks as we can through the connections of life experiences. You never know what life experience may touch you. You may be going through a similar situation, and life experiences that we are sharing may connect you. Please subscribe and follow our YouTube. It's Unfiltered Unspoken. You'll see the U signs, the green ones. And please follow us on Facebook. It's The Good Fight. There's an E on the end of good. Instagram, The Good Fight. And we have also created a private group in Facebook. It's called Unfiltered Unspoken, the Society of Survivors. So if you want to be more exclusive and private, just come in and see what folks are sharing. We have testimonies like Neicy, so many more folks are sharing. We have resources if you need resources, if you need to ask a question. And again, if Neicy has connected with you today, please reach out to Neicy so that she may be able to give you advice or resources that I'm not able to give you, but we are creating a unity of resources and connections to help anyone going through childhood traumas, leading into adult decisions, adult traumas, domestic violence, and mental health issues, men, women, youth, and we're even bringing awareness to the abusers so that you can realize that you are abusing, and maybe it'll touch you and say, hey, I'm doing that. I'm hurting people. I need to stop abusing.
That's good. That's good.
So thank you for tuning in, Neicy. Thank you for being
Thank
a
you
part
for having me.
of absolutely.